In this video, I'll show you how to build a customized AI chatbot app for e-commerce websites powered by ChatGPT-4. People are already making money by selling these personalized AI chatbots to lots of website owners, and you can do it as well. You don't need any programming knowledge since these are no-code AI-powered apps. Please watch the video completely to understand all the concepts and treat it as a crash course. If you want, you can also get the exercise files from the link in the video description. I've also created different chapters of this video for easy access. OpenAI Playground. You might have heard of GPT-4 before, but how can you use it to build your own apps? In this video, we can learn how to build GPT-4 apps together. Let's harness the power of generative AI to build something amazing. If you've ever had a chance to play around with ChatGPT before, you likely visited this website. This is the free version of ChatGPT, which is currently the 3.5 version. So let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT a question. What is Dubai's climate like? That sounds about right. In this research preview, you can also upgrade to ChatGPT+. This provides you more reliable access to GPT-4. GPT-4 is a more powerful version of ChatGPT and the current state-of-the-art. To access the playground, we can head over to platform.openai.com. Once we log in, we can click the Playground button. In the Playground, we get a more powerful interface. On the right-hand side, you can see that we're using GPT-3 or Text of Insight 003 as the model is called. We also have a number of knobs and dials to play around with. Now let's go ahead and switch our mode to chat. You can see here ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, which is ChatGPT and GPT-4. This can only be accessed if you have credit balance in your account. So let's click on GPT-4. Now there are other parameters below our model selection, but we're not going to worry about them. Now, let's say hello to GPT-4 and ask it about the weather in San Francisco. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the user box here, and I'm going to type in, what is the climate like in San Francisco? Now let's head to the bottom of the screen and hit submit. And there we go. We have an answer about SF Mediterranean climate. So that's the OpenAI playground where we can access GPT-4. This is the interface that we'll be using. Prompt engineering. What is prompting? So how do we get GPT-4 to share on a variety of topics, including history, math, and even writing jokes? To do this, you need to get familiar with a term called prompting. Prompting is the method of communicating an idea to GPT-4 in order to get a response that you want. In other words, it's a way of giving instructions. As you can see, we're back in the GPT-4 playground. Let's say you want to hear a joke about cats. So you can say, tell me a joke about cats. Here we go. So in this case, we provided a little bit of context and it helped GPT-4 generate a response that was based on jokes and cats. Now we can have GPT-4 generate a number of different responses based on the prompts we give. Let's provide it with a simple math prompt. For example, what is 2 plus 2? So this is very different than telling a joke, but GPT-4 has been trained on most of the data on the internet, so it's able to generate a response. We can provide it with an even different prompt. Let's say, who was the Prime Minister of Canada in 1956? And there we go. In 1956, the Prime Minister of Canada was Louis St. Laurent. We asked GPT-4 a question about history, and it was able to provide us an answer. Now, all of these prompts should be carefully chosen. As we start asking more complex questions, we might need to refine the prompt. Sometimes GPT-4 has this tendency to hallucinate or make things up, so we have to check reliable sources like the Canadian Encyclopedia to verify that this answer is correct. Now you know a little more about prompting and the variety of prompts you can write in GPT-4. Go ahead and start practicing. By the way, you can grab my ChatGPT kit from the link in the description, which is a PDF document of 17 pages with detailed prompt engineering examples and information. Also comes with 164 prompts. Prompt engineering, tailoring your own prompts. Let's continue leveling up our prompting skills with some more techniques. For our project, we'll be building prompts and apps about some cool action figures, but we need help with coming up with some backstories for them. That's where GPT-4 can help. So you can see here, I'm on the Big Star Collectibles website, which has a list of action figures, and on this website, I want to use GPT-4 to create a backstory for one of these characters. Let's do it for Mayor of Binarival, Rex. I'm going to click on his profile and copy his bio. Now let's head over to a GPT-4 playground. Put his bio into the user prompt here. Above that, I'm going to type in, create a backstory for Rex. Now, GPT-4 is going to begin and write us a story about who is Rex. It's a pretty interesting story that we've written here, and something that we can put on the website if we wanted to. This is an example of using GPT-4 to create a powerful prompt. Now, what we can do here is we can edit this prompt to be shorter by clicking on the past prompt and adding some additional instructions. Let's make sure that the output is shorter by saying story is 2 paragraphs long. Okay, here we go. We can see here that the response is different than what we had before. Now we have it in 2 paragraphs. Now we can change our prompt to modify how this backstory sounds. We're going to make it a backstory as if it was an action movie. So let's go ahead and modify the prompt. We're going to make sure it sounds like an action movie. So let's delete this assistant script here and hit submit. There we go, that's pretty exciting. So we learned how to take some information about Rex and create a prompt that helps us accomplish a creative task. Prompt engineering, summarization, and classification. Our goal is to ultimately build an interactive app or chatbot for the binary robots website so that the customers can ask questions and order products. This data will be shown directly to the customer, but how do we provide a customized experience for each of our customers? To do this, let's learn some more about GPT-4 summarization and classification prompts. To make our chatbot experience more customized, we'll add some fun facts about robots since our merchandise is about our robot characters. So let's open up the Wikipedia page on robots. To generate some fun facts, we're going to use some historical information about robots. We're going to copy everything from the top to the future development section. Now let's switch over to GPT-4 and paste it into our user section. So we have this text. We're going to go ahead and add a prompt at the top. We're going to add tell me 3 cool facts about robots based on the article. And let's hit submit. And here we go. We can start seeing some fun facts. A fun fact for you about GPT-4 is that it can handle up to 13 pages of text at a time, so you can summarize some pretty long articles. These are some pretty interesting facts. Robots have been around for a while. Now, since parents will be buying these toys for kids, let's make the text more accessible. So, let's modify our facts prompt to say, tell me 3 facts about robots that a grade 1 would find cool. And let's scroll down to the bottom, remove our previous assistant response, and hit submit. Okay, those seem a lot more accessible to kids, so great work, GPT-4. Alright, so we just completed part 1 of our task for this video. So we summarized and listed some fun facts. Let's move on to part 2. Now within our final e-commerce chatbot, we could ask a customer if they want to hear another fun fact. Let's type in a new prompt to do some classification. We're going to classify the statement, I want to hear a fun fact belongs to another fun fact or no fun fact. And I'm going to hit submit. Okay, great, we successfully classified that I want to hear a fun fact belongs to another fun fact. Now let's make this a little bit more concise. Let's edit the prompt. So let's edit our user prompt to say only print the category, and we're going to delete this last assistant prompt. Let's hit submit. And there we go. We just printed only another fun fact. Now as a final aspect for this video, let's modify our prompt to have multiple statements. I'm going to go ahead and edit this. We have, I want to hear a fun fact, and no thank you. Now let's remove the assistant prompt here and hit submit. Okay, great. We've successfully classified 2 different prompts based on our objective. Now we've gained 2 more prompting techniques to build out our conversational AI app for our robots e-commerce application. Giving a persona to ChatGPT-4. Every company has a certain voice, and wouldn't it be great if our chatbots could be an extension of that voice? Let's talk about how to set up a persona for our GPT-4 chatbot. We'll go through 2 use cases. First, our binary chatbot, and second, a burger establishment. So, let's paste our description about Rex the mayor into our user prompt. We got this from the binary website. Now, let's add a persona to our chatbot. We're going to write, respond to the user's questions as Rex. Okay, great, we've added a persona. Now, if we ask GPT-4 normally a question about binary or where are you from, it'd give a very generic answer, but now we've told it that you are Rex. So let's ask it a question. Let's ask it and say, who runs binary, and hit submit. You can see here GPT-4 is using I. It's responding as Rex using our persona. Now we can ask it a follow-up question. Let's ask, where are you from? And hit submit. And there we go. We start getting a response based on the persona bio. So that's an example of using a specific persona for our chatbot. Now, let's say we wanted to do a more generic persona, like for a burger joint. So let's go ahead and erase these prompts. So now let's add another persona about being a burger joint server. I'm going to paste a persona into the user tab and let's hit enter. Okay, there we go. We told our persona to use lots of acronyms and puns, and here we see some pretty funny jokes. So let's ask a follow-up question. Let's ask it about how much does a cheeseburger cost? Now, based on our persona, we get another response and some more puns. Okay, that's great. What if we want our server to be from the UK? We can do that. So let's go ahead and delete these prompts and add "you are from the UK" and hit submit. And there you go. We've changed our response based on our persona. Once again, let's ask it about how much does a cheeseburger cost. So we should get a response not in dollars but in pounds. And there we go, it's a 6-pound burger. Great, so we can see here that our persona is working not just for a US server but also a UK one. So we learned that with a simple prompt, we can have GPT-4 respond as a specific or general persona. This is a great way to create a more personal chatbot. Formatting your prompts in ChatGPT-4. Think about when you go to the grocery store. You want a clear list of items, not a flowing paragraph of descriptive text. Using structured text is a great way to communicate for both people and machines. So let's go ahead and learn how to format text using GPT-4. Continuing down our binaural theme, we have some previous text about Rex. I'm going to paste this backstory about Rex into our user prompt. And above it, we're going to put in our objective. So we're going to write based on the following text extract where Rex was born, in which year he became mayor, and we're going to hit submit. And there we have it. We got a response to this question. Now notice that some of your responses might be a little bit different because English is ambiguous. Now we're going to make our format more structured. We're going to use something called a key value format. This format helps us organize how GPT-4 presents information to the customer in the application. This means we'll see the name of the information that we want to extract, followed by the value in an organized format. So let's go ahead and edit our prompt. We're going to add output as a key value pair, and we're going to remove this assistant output and hit submit. There we go. We get an output in a much more structured fashion. Notice that we have born and mayor as the two keys, and in 2003 and 2010 as the two values. Now the born portion isn't actually correct because we asked where, not which year. So we have to double check our prompt to make sure that we get the right response that we want. GPT-4 sometimes misattributes information. So there we have it. So we learned how to extract two pieces of information from Rex's background and format it in a structured way. ChatGPT-4, placing the character order. Now let's place a binaryville character order. Here's the previous order from our potential customer. Now let's go ahead and paste the sample solution that I have. Let's go through this part step by step. I started the prompt with a reference to our order. And to make it a well-structured output, I say which information to include, the order date, and the figure counts. And finally, I mentioned the output format, which is .jots. So let's hit submit and get a response. So that's a pretty well-structured response with everything that we asked for. We have our order date, we have our action figures, and it's in a .jot format. So now you're able to process that customer order. We can now help our customer get their action figures. Configuring the system prompt. What would happen if we could make GPT-4 focus on a certain task? I'll be talking about focusing our GPT-4 responses by using the system variable. On the left-hand side here, you can see that we have the system prompt. What the system prompt does is that it allows us to provide instructions to GPT-4. You can see here there's this kind of faded, "You are a helpful assistant." This is the default system prompt for GPT-4 and also for ChatGPT. And what we can do here is we can assign a task or a persona to GPT-4. When we're having conversations between the assistant and the user, GPT-4 will act as the assistant and try to accomplish objectives specified in the system prompt. Now let's go through an example. I want to ask GPT-4 to find out a user's favorite color. And until the user specifies the color, we'll keep asking them for it. This is useful in our example of a chatbot because we might want to ask the user how they want to customize their action figure. So let's go ahead and try talking to GPT-4 with this new system prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and create a user prompt and say hello to GPT-4. "Hi, how are you doing today?" And hit submit. And there we go. GPT-4 responded, and then it asked me about my favorite color. Okay, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now let's ask it another question. "The sky is nice today, don't you think?" So another question for GPT-4. And we're going to get an answer, but we're still going to be asked about our favorite color. GPT-4 really won't give up. Okay, let's tell our favorite color. "My favorite color is blue." Hit submit. And there we go, GPT-4 commented on our favorite color and no more questions. It successfully accomplished its goal of understanding our favorite color. That's an example of how we can set the system prompt to accomplish an objective. This gives us the ability to focus GPT-4 to accomplish specific tasks, and later we'll learn how we can combine them to build larger applications. adding context for a more powerful application. What was magical about ChatGPT and GPT-4 when they first came out was their ability to remember past parts of your conversation. You could say that you had a pet dog and ask a follow-up question about what kind of pet did I have, and it would remember. Now, these magical moments were probably a reason why these systems became so popular. So how do we use this memory for building our own conversational AI apps? If we're building an e-commerce chatbot, remembering what users previously said makes the experience much more natural. So now we're going to go through an exercise of using context to improve our responses. What's nice about GPT-4 is that context is built in by default. Let's learn how to use it. In the system prompt, let's add in an objective for keeping track of customer orders. Let's go ahead and I'm going to write, help the user keep track of what their order contains. It's a pretty straightforward system prompt. Now let's add a message that will ask GPT-4. Let's say, I want to order a Rex action figure, and let's hit submit. And there we go. We got confirmation about our Rex order. Now let's say, add a Dolores action figure as well, and hit submit. And now it tells us that we added one Dolores action figure, and it kept track of Rex. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's do something a little bit more complicated. Let's say, replace Rex with a Bubbles action figure and hit submit. All right, it's telling us that it's replaced Rex, and now we have Bubbles and Dolores. That's really cool. So now we know how to use GPT-4 to remember what a customer ordered. We now know how to leverage the power of GPT for context. ChatGPT-4 prompt chaining. So far, we've discussed singular prompts such as creating a persona and doing classifications. Now we'll cover how we can link prompts together. This skill is called prompt chaining. It is a technique of combining multiple prompts together to accomplish a more complex task. For example, in an e-commerce chatbot, you might want to answer customer questions about a product, then accept a free text order, and finally take in the delivery instructions to complete the order. So let's open up GPT-4 and build this three-part prompt chain together. We're going to work on the first prompt, so when customers ask questions about a product, the chatbot will provide the answers the customer is looking for. To achieve this, let's grab my prompt from exercise files. Let's go ahead and copy all of this. We're going to paste it under the system prompt. In our prompt, we have the question answering persona, some background information about each character and their superpowers. In the persona, we say that we're a question answering bot that can help answer a user's questions. Once the user has no more questions, we can say, thanks for coming. And then below, you can see the bios and the superpowers. Now let's ask our chatbot a question. Let's go ahead and hit submit so we get our first greeting, and there we go. We get an introduction from our chatbots, so let's go ahead and ask it a question. I'm going to ask, can you tell me more about Rex? And hit submit. And there we go. We get a response about Rex. Now let's say I want to learn more about Bubbles. So let's ask, can you tell me more about Bubbles' superpower? And I'm going to hit submit. And there we go. We get a cool answer about Bubbles' superpower. Okay, now I think I know enough about each of these characters. Let's say, no more questions, and hit submit. There we go. So now we've completed task number 1 with our first prompt. Let's open up our second tab to get started on our second prompt. The prompt here in the system portion is from the exercise file number 2. You can go ahead and find it and copy it over. First, we have our persona, where we say that we process e-commerce orders. Then we tell GPT-4 what available items we have. And finally, we give instructions when we want to confirm the order. Okay, let's hit submit and get a first interaction with our assistant. There we go. We get a first greeting. So let's tell what do we want to order. I want to order 2 Dolores and 1 Rex, and there we go. We have a response, we have a summary of what we want to order. Do we want to do anything else? Actually, we do. Let's replace Rex with a Bubbles. Hit submit. We've updated our order. Fantastic. Do I want anything else? No, that's all, and hit submit. And we have our order that's confirmed, and we have a goodbye from this assistant. So there we go, prompt number 2 has completed our objective. Now let's move on to prompt number 3. Once again, we can find this prompt under the exercise files. So this one is quite short. We tell in this prompt that you're a concise assistant, taking in delivery instructions, and then we ask it to confirm the user's name and address. Once again, let's hit submit to get a response from our assistant. Okay, I'm greeted and I'm asked for a name and an address. Hi, my name is Dennis and I live at 123 Fake Street, Ontario, Canada. And hit submit. There we go, we have a confirmation. Here's our address that I want to order at. So this is how we combine prompts with different objectives together to build our full e-commerce app. We call this prompt chaining, but this process was quite manual. The good news is that we'll put it all together to build our powerful AI app. ChatGPT-4, remembering the order. So here's a situation: we want to create an assistant that will help a customer with getting information about their past orders. We can find the past order information in the exercise files. This challenge, we have two requirements. The first is you should be able to answer questions about a customer's previous order. So what date they ordered, how they paid, etc. For the first requirement, you can see some test cases here on the right that I've written. The other requirement is to make sure that GPT-4 acts like a conversational assistant. So let's go ahead and develop a prompt to fit these two requirements. I managed to do this question in a form-line prompt. It might take you a little bit longer, but it's a great learning experience. Now let's take a look at the solution here. On the left-hand side, you can see here that I put our order information from the exercise files into the system. And now let's paste in our prompt. So the first part of our solution, we fulfill requirement number 1. So let's go through it. Below is a set of orders that a customer has made from Big Star Collectibles. In this part of the prompt, I tell GPT-4 about our order fulfillment requirement. Now the next sentence, make sure to ask them for their name to know who you're looking up the information for. Here, I give it some more instructions so it can know how to respond to the user. Now to fulfill the second part of our requirements, I use the prompt, greet the customer, and help answer their questions. This makes sure that we sound like a conversational assistant. Now let's run through some tests that we had in our user prompts below. So let's say I have my first test here. My name is John. What was the last figure I ordered? I think it started with a D. I don't remember, but my kid really likes it. Now let's go ahead and hit submit. And there we go. We get a response. John ordered 2 Dolores and a Rex figure. And you can see here GPT-4 reference that it started with D and found that it was Dolores. That's pretty cool. Now let's go through our second test case. So I'm going to go ahead and delete my first test case and my response. So let's paste in our second test case. So the test case is, hey, it's Jane. I didn't get my order last week. Which address did you ship it to? So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And there you go. GPT-4 is acting like a conversational assistant. It looked through the orders and is now pulling up Jane's address that you ordered from. Now, if we scroll through the information on the side here, we can see that Jane ordered a Fred figure, a Bubbles figure, and shipped it to 456 Oak Street, Greenfield, California. So we are able to extract the information and answer Jane's question. So that's a sample solution to our problem. We answered it in a 4-sentence prompt and were able to go through our 2 test cases. ChatGPT-4, building a no-code chatbot. We are going to leverage our previous skills of prompt chaining and make it into a seamless user experience. Usually, generative AI apps require developer-focused tooling like LangChain, but we'll be using a productivity-focused tool called VoiceFlow. So let's jump into VoiceFlow to learn how to do this. Simply sign up on this website. We have some information here just to fill out about your profile. All right, now we can create a workspace. I'm going to call this AI Scholar. I'm now going to add any collaborators. And here we are on VoiceFlow. I'm going to create a new assistant. I'm going to hit New Assistant in the top right. We're going to call this Binaryville Assistant, and I'm going to select Build AI Assistant since that's what we're doing. I'm going to hit Continue. I'm going to select the web chat channel since we can put this on our e-commerce website, and I'm going to click English. I'm going to hit Continue and Create. All right, we can see here we have some blocks on this VoiceFlow canvas. I am actually going to go ahead and delete all of them. So let's start from scratch. You can see on the left-hand side here, we have a number of different steps. We can see that there are 2 AI steps, so let's go ahead and pick the Response AI step. This block can now be used to generate responses from GPT-4. So we can go ahead and click on Prompt Settings and select GPT-4. Now what we can do here is we can put in a prompt, either in our system field or just in our prompt. So let's say something simple, like say hello to the user. Now I'm going to rename this block as greeting, and I'm going to connect the start block to this screening block. So we created our first prompt chain with just one prompt. Now on the top right-hand side here, I'm going to go and hit play. This will allow me to run a test to see what responses I get to see if everything's working fine. Okay, let's head back to the canvas. I'm going to go ahead and grab the prompt from our exercise file. So we're going to go ahead and click on this block and paste the prompt from the exercise file. Here we go. This is very similar to what we saw earlier. Now we're going to change the prompt here to be memory. So this means that we're only going to use the memory from the conversation to respond to the user. Now, how do we know what the user is telling us? Let's drag on a new block. We'll go to the Listen step here and drag out Capture. The Capture block lets us listen to what the user is saying and save it for future use. So let's go ahead and connect the start block to the capture block. I'm going to call this listen, and now I'm going to connect our capture block to our greeting block and rename it AI response. Great. So what we can do now is we can capture what the user says and then have our AI response to be based on that. So let's click play again. I'm going to say, "Hi, can you tell me about Rex?" and hit enter. And we have a little response that's generated here. Okay, and there we are. We've created a simple chatbot where we can get the user response and respond using GPT-4. Now let's make it a more advanced assistant. ChatGPT-4, customizing your chatbot. We're going to learn how to finish our chatbot and customize it. So let's start off on the VoiceFlow canvas here. I'm actually going to go back to our workspace and show you how to import a file. So on our workspace, I can see this little icon in the top right-hand side that says Import via File. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to import something from my exercise files and grab this binarival 0403.vf file. Now this is an exact copy of what we have right now, but let's go jump into it. So here we are. We're back on the VoiceFlow canvas with our file imported. Now what we have left to do is we need to add a talk, speak, and a loop so that we can have a full conversation with our assistant. So I'm going to go with the left bar here and add talk, grab a text box. We're going to welcome the user to our Big Star Collectibles. So say, "Welcome to Big Star Collectibles, how can we help you today?" Great. This is just a static response that the user will see. When we hit run, it'll just say, "Welcome to Big Star Collectibles." Now let's add in our loop. So we're going to grab our respond during memory block and drag it back to our capture step, and we're going to create this little AI loop. So basically, whenever a user says something, we're going to respond using our AI step and our memory, and then keep going in a circle until we complete our objective. So let's see how it looks like. We're going to get our welcome, and I'm going to say, "Hi, can I learn more about Rex?" And now we're going to get a GPT-4 response. And there we go. We got a response about Rex. Now we can ask another question. "Tell me more about Bubbles." You can see here we're being prompted, and we can have a conversation with our chatbot. So we're going to get a response, and I'm going to exit. We have a fully functional assistant. Now let's learn how to customize our assistant. Let's go ahead and click the Integrations tab on the left bar here. Let's go ahead and customize our assistant. I'm going to click on Appearance. So we're going to change our image, our color, and our avatar. So let's change our launcher and assistant image using files from the exercise folder. So you can see here I have my big star icon. Now we have our assistant image. There we go. So now we can go ahead and we can edit our color. I'm going to paste in my color that I can find in the exercise files in here. Now we have a stylized assistant. Let's go ahead and figure out how to put it on the website. I'm going to copy this chunk of code right here. If you don't know what this code means, don't worry, just make sure to copy the second to the second last line. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to our canvas and we're going to hit our publish button. This will allow us to actually run this on our Big Star collectible website. So let's hit publish. So I will just open up the website and I'm going to add our chatbot into this website from the front end. If you don't know what that means, don't worry, but we're going to use a developer shortcut. We're going to hit paste and enter. I'm going to click X and we can see here our assistant has popped up. Welcome to Big Star Collectibles. How can we help you today? And I'm going to say, tell me more about Rex. And there we go. We got a response. So this is how we can build our conversational AI assistant with only a couple of blocks on the VoiceFlow canvas in just a few steps. So now we can build a full end-to-end assistant using GPT-4 and VoiceFlow. Prompt chaining for your GPT-4 chatbot. So far, we've learned how to build an e-commerce app with one prompt. Now we're going to learn how to build a multi-prompt chatbot. To get started with our current file, you can head to the exercise files and grab the file name starter. Once we have it imported, we'll be on the canvas right now. So to determine how to move from one prompt to the other, we're going to need an extra block. This block is called the if block. So let's go ahead and add it to the canvas. We're going to go to the logic step and drag out our if condition block. So this block will let us determine should we move on to the next prompt or not. Has the previous prompt met our current objective? In this case, we can use the if condition to determine does the user have any more questions or do they want to exit the chatbot? So let's have the if condition do that. Actually, we're going to need one more block to help us out. I'm going to grab another prompt block, but this time I'm going to grab the AI set step. We're going to use the AI set step as a classification prompt. A classification prompt will output whether something is one kind of answer or another. In our case, we're going to use it to determine does the user want to continue with their conversation. And now, let's go grab the classification prompt from the exercise files. Down at the bottom here, I'm going to grab the classification prompt. I'm going to copy that over to enter that in our prompt. So our classification prompt is going to check the previous utterance, so the last thing that the user said, and check if it's similar to no more questions. And we're going to print 1 if it is and 0 if it isn't. And we're going to save this to something called a variable. A variable lets us keep this output, this 1 or 0, for future use. So let's go ahead and create a new variable. We're going to call it conversation_done and hit create. So let's go ahead and name these blocks and organize the canvas a little bit. So let's go ahead and connect our capture block to the set AI step. And then we're going to go ahead and connect the set AI step to our if condition. Now we're going to name our condition check if no more questions. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add this condition. So we're going to check for our variable. So our variable is conversation_done. And we're going to check if it contains a 1, hit enter. Now what this means is if there are no more questions, we're going to get a 1. So that means our if condition will be true. Now if this condition is true, we should say, thanks for coming. So I'm going to go ahead and create that response from the left bar here and grab a text block. So I'm going to type out, thanks for coming, have a good day. And I will just rename it as goodbye. All right, so I'm going to connect that if block to our goodbye. There we go. Now, what happens if the user wants to continue the conversation? Let's add a no match condition. So this is going to be if the user still wants to keep talking. Let's take them back to our original prompt. Just going to add a path here, and we're going to drag it back to our respond using memory. Now to complete the loop, we're going to connect our response back to our user capture step. Now I'm going to clean up the canvas a little bit, and there we go. Now let's go ahead and run this and see how it works. We're going to hit run in the top right. We're going to get our greeting, say, hi, can I learn more about Rex? So this is going to activate our first prompt and we're going to get a response. And there we go. And let's say no, I don't have any more questions. Now our classification prompt is going to classify this as no more questions. So you can see here, we didn't go back to continuing the conversation, we jumped to this goodbye block. So this is an example of prompt chaining. We used our AI response to have a conversation with the user, and then we used our classification block to figure out when to end the conversation. So that's how we do prompt chaining to build a conversational app. Now you've learned how to build an app with generative AI. We started from scratch and learned about GPT-4, and now you can build a full e-commerce app. All the resources are linked in the video description. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you want to learn more about AI, and I'll see you in the next one.